A warm welcome to our property show, and we welcome back Stephen and Andrea. Hello.
Good morning.
From Fuchsia Homes in Ruislip Manor. Now, today we are chatting about selling your house and presentation, how to present your house for selling. Lots of tips, hopefully, because the spring's coming up.
Hopefully, if the weather gets better, yeah.
Yes. But you're saying don't wait till the spring to sell your house.
Yeah, I think there is a common misconception that spring is the best time to list your property because for whatever reason, buyers come out of the woodworks and want to buy during springtime. They want to stay in wrapped up during winter. But if you think about it logically, that is the main thought of everyone across the UK is a good time to sell is spring. So what would end up happening is that you're going into competition with a lot more properties. So you're putting your property on when everyone else is putting their property on, meaning that buyers will have more to choose from, which means they'll probably know that and they'll offer a little bit less, potentially. Obviously, that's going to be dependent from buyer to buyer. But I always say to my clients, why put your property on when you're going to have more competition?
Yeah, good point.
But there are things you can do, of course, and that's why today I wanted to talk about presentation because, of course, it's spring, it's nicer weather, so there are certain things you can do around the property to give yourself a better fighting chance to get as close to that asking price as physically possible. And actually, I think a lot of the things that we recommend to our clients are really minor things and very little things that don't cost a lot of money. Which I think surprise a lot of people because a lot of people think, oh, we have to spend a lot of money to get the return on the property. You don't. Often there's a lot of quite quick, cheap tips that we can give to make a massive difference to the price you actually achieve.
And are there key rooms in the house we should focus on, do you think?
Absolutely. So the three key rooms that we know affect how someone will interpret a property and how they'll feel about the property is kitchen, living room, and I suppose it's not really a room, but the garden.
Oh.
So they're the three main parts of a house that will either make someone feel like they've just walked into a home or they've just walked into another house.
Yeah.
So what you want to be doing as a seller is making that feel like the most amazing future home for that person, make it feel as welcoming as possible and really sell the lifestyle. I think that's the best advice I can give. I always say to all my guys in the office, I say to my clients, we can't sell houses. Estate agents don't sell houses, and I think that's a big thing that estate agents always get wrong. So they say, oh, yeah, we're selling loads of houses. You're not. What you're doing is you're selling loads of viewings. The house will sell itself. If you get enough people through the door, one, maybe two, maybe three, if you're lucky, will feel like it's their home. They'll make an offer, and the rest is history. But all we can do is sell the lifestyle of the property in order to get enough people through the door, so we're selling the viewings. So there are things that you can do around those areas of the property to maximise your chances of getting that next person, to find whoever's going to be the next homeowner of your property.
So living room maybe to start with. We're in the lounge.
Yep.
Nice sofas, probably family pictures and things. Maybe put those away. Neutral colours.
Yeah, neutral colours. Nothing bright, nothing glary. I have seen some quite extreme stuff over the years. Not recently. I think people now give everything a lick of paint. I have seen some bright stuff over the years.
Yeah.
Some very psychedelic kind of purples and pinks as feature walls.
West Ham fans, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. This was in London, but I think maybe just paint over it to keep everything nice and neutral. Try to keep to like a matte or a silk. Don't go for high gloss paints because I've had one client many years ago that painted an entire living room in gloss and it was a very bright sunny day and you almost needed sunglasses in there because you couldn't see a thing, and they painted it white. Everything was painted white gloss with big like bifolds across the back. It was blinding. Great, lovely bright room, but it was a little bit too much. So just be conscious of what you're painting, what paint you're using. And keep very conscious of your costs.
Yeah.
So if you are thinking of selling, keep the costs down because you're probably not going to recoup huge amounts of costs. We normally say on average that whatever you put in, you get out. But if you're going to go start putting in some really expensive kit, you're not going to make it back. Yes, you make it more saleable. Yes, you make it more presentable. Yes, you should get more people through the door. Yes, you'll probably get an offer closer to your asking price, but it's not going to push the asking price up. So keep costs low. Really small things as well can make a massive difference. So if you've got a lovely big living room, the biggest problem is trying to really show the size of that living room in a photo. Rugs, small coffee tables, anything that kind of gives like perspective to a photo makes a massive, massive difference.
Yeah.
A rug can be incredibly cheap. A small coffee table from IKEA, other furniture suppliers are available. Can be, make a massive, massive difference. If you get a small one, centerpiece it, put some vases or something on it. Again, you can do things like mirrors, so relatively cheap and expensive. So we're actually talking not actually about refurbing a room or giving anything like that requires you to do a bit of DIY. We're more talking about furnishings and how you really show off that room and space that room. Mirrors are a great tool. We love mirrors. You can just bounce light all the way around a room. So where you're taking away maybe some personalized stuff, if there's any big photos of family and things like that, we always recommend to take the family photos out of the room because you want the new owner to walk in and feel like it's going to be their home. So they, in a weird way, you don't want them to see photos of your family because that still puts in their mind that it's still your home. Swap them out. So if you take down big photos of family, swap it with a mirror.
Yeah.
Swap it with something else. Light fittings. Everyone loves a quirky light fitting, a bit of a showpiece, a centerpiece in the living room. Again, these are relatively small expenses. Cushions. It is more about how you furnish a living room than what the colour is and what the flooring is and things like that.
And I suppose for a bigger sale, you might offer to bring stuff in. Can you bring in like big TVs and stuff to make it seem really impressive?
Yes, you can. So we do offer home staging for bigger houses, especially where there's empty properties. So where there's empty properties, we will bring in props within reason. There is a funny one not too long ago where we were very limited on props, and this is why we've brought in this service in now, because before we would go into an empty property and you'd basically have a look round and see what you've got to work with. I think in that one we had 2 cushions, a vase with some fake flowers, and a teapot. So we were quite limited on how we staged rooms. And from that point onwards, I said, right, you know what, we're going to have to create some sort of service here where we can call someone who we now have, the lovely Amy Palmer that we'll pick up the phone to, and Amy will come round, meet with that person, do almost like a consultation and report back to us, say, Steve, this is what we need, this is how much time I would need to stage the property, and then we'd organise a time for Amy to go back, stage it, our photographer comes down, and Amy and the photographer will be there for the whole day. Now, we offer that service to especially the bigger properties, but anything that's empty as well, we would do that because it is incredibly difficult to really show off and sell the lifestyle of an empty property because it is empty. It's hard to imagine what would actually be in the room. Yeah,
it's hard to judge sizes of things like beds, isn't it, and wardrobes and things where they all fit. If the place is empty.
That's quite common because it used to be probably about 100 years ago, the centerpiece of the living room would be the fireplace. Now the centerpiece of the living room is the TV. Let's just hold our hands up. Everything is angled around the TV. So if for an empty property, for a room not to have a TV, it looks very weird, doesn't it? It looks very strange, and people find it very hard to picture where would I put the couch, where would I put the TV, where would I put this? So even to bring in like a dummy TV, a fake one, put it on, and maybe like a slightly smaller one, and then a slightly larger couch or something, it will add perspective to the room and it shapes the room a bit better. You just need to do something to make it feel more like a home rather than just an empty room and a house.
So kitchens, you're saying probably don't go and spend fortunes on
please don't.
Granite worktops.
No.
Whatever.
There was, this is going back probably about 10 years ago now, and I think my first boss at the time, John Stubbs, who has his own agency now up in St Albans, will remember this story, but I think it was if memory serves, it was a 2-bedroom bungalow in Chiswell Green. So this is going back a long, long time. And I remember me and John going to see it, and some people had inherited it. So it needed work doing to it. There was no doubt about it. It was in a pretty poor state. I pleaded with the people, said, please, 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 just sell it as it is. Okay, and they said, no, Steve, we're not going to do that because we're going to limit the amount of people that can buy it. I said, well, that's true, but I'm really concerned about how much money you're about to go and spend on this house. Okay, so they redid all the windows, redid all the plumbing, electrics, the lot. They did the bathrooms, they did the kitchens, and these were not cheap bathrooms or kitchens they put in. And I remember going out and seeing them. I revalued it, and they said, right, what's it now worth? And I said, it's pretty much worth what you guys have put in. That's all you've done. You've pushed the asking price up to what you've basically spent. And this is going back to probably about 2008, I think this was. So this was recession time as well. So I mean, time is against you, because every day that you're not selling that house, the marketplace is obviously dropping away. So they had trouble on both sides there, and we sold it. And I remember driving past about a week and a half, 2 weeks after completion. Big 12-yard skip in the front garden, and the bathroom and kitchen was in it. A brand new bathroom and kitchen was in just, and I could see them just walking in and out with wheelbarrows, just throwing it in. What can I do? I can only advise people. But I mean, that's proof of the pudding, isn't it? What is your taste might not be the next person's. No. As hard as you can try to keep something neutral, you never know what the next person might not want neutral. They might want, highlighted yellow cabinets with a fluorescent pink worktop. So it's not theirs. It's not, and they need to make it feel like their home. So often you can just save yourself a bit of money. So, if a kitchen's already got cabinets, don't rip it all out. Maybe just look to either paint or change the doors. Yeah. Change the handles if the doors are okay. If normally worktops are fine, but if you need to replace a worktop, you can normally replace a worktop with just a normal, chipboard wood MDF worktop. It's got a nice covering over it. Don't go for solid granite or onyx or anything like that. No. Just keep your costs down to present it.
I suppose obviously the trend now is to open out kitchens and lounges and do the sort of big steels and open the entire downstairs out. If you go into a house there and it's typical 1930s with the little tiny kitchen,
the little galley, the little galley kitchen,
it must be quite hard to sell or dress that.
It's not easy, and we avoid trying to use like super wide angle lenses, obviously, because that's not representative of what the person's going to see. I think honesty is the best policy. So as long as there's no surprises when someone walks into the property, then you should be absolutely fine. So that rule applies to how you describe the property when you're on the phone to someone, how you take photos of the property. They should understand that if it's a 1930s property and it's unextended, it's as original, then yes, it's going to have a small galley kitchen, but you might want to give them an example of one that's down the road that's had it knocked through, or they've done an extension of some sort. Yeah. Give them options and almost preempt what the potential hurdles might be, and have that ready on the actual appointment. I always describe it as hurdles, and you don't want to trip over one. You just want to be able to leap over it and have it ready. So have options. Create almost like a buyer pack for the person that's coming to view, and just show what can be done, the potential of the property should they want to. Although what I would say on that matter is a lot of people now like the separate kitchen. I think we went through that phase of open plan living. Yeah. We do get quite a few people now that say, actually, we'd like to be able to lock away the smells. Oh, right. Yeah. And have a separate cooking space. So not everyone opens it all up. What we found was that for 1930s, in fact, they would keep the front room. They would keep the next room, but they do the extension on the back, and the extension on the back kind of becomes like an L-shaped kind of kitchen. So you still keep your two reception rooms. They haven't knocked it all through. Some of them do, some of them don't. Depends on how wide or deep the house is and how much garden you've got. But I think it's nice almost as well to have a blank canvas. I think a lot of these properties have been extended and changed, and it's very easy to change something to something. It's very hard to put something back.
Oh, yeah.
So I wouldn't be afraid. If you're thinking of selling and you've got an unextended house and you think maybe, my kitchen's a bit small, or I don't have a downstairs toilet or anything like that, leave it. Leave it, because let it be someone else's project next, because they will make it how they want to make it, rather than you guessing how people would like it, if that kind of makes sense. Yeah.
And could you, in theory, if you've got a neighbour that's had the whole thing done, could I pop round and see the neighbours and show the potential buyers of my house? Is that a done thing? Or
buy them some flowers, buy them some chocolates, and flattery is I suppose, yeah. It's brilliant, isn't it? If I got a knock at my door from a neighbour and say, look, Steve, you've done a really lovely extension, I'm thinking about selling. Do you mind if I show my potential buyers your extension of what could be done? Of course. Yeah. I'm not going to say no to that. Come have a look at my lovely home. I love to show off my lovely home. I don't have that, by the way. No. I wish. But I think that's nice. And what that also does as well, it helps sell the lifestyle of living there, doesn't it? Because what you're basically doing is you're showing the potential future owner of that property, come meet your lovely neighbour.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a lovely
If they
thing.
are nice, of course.
Yeah, if they are nice, of course. Yeah, I mean, if they've got about 4 rabid dogs and they play loud music late at night, maybe don't introduce them. But but why not? I think especially coming from central London, we could sell houses and you'd never know who your neighbours are because everyone's constantly out at work. You know, it'd be once in a blue moon you'd bump into your actual person that lives next door.
Yeah.
In an area like Hillingdon, Ruislip, Ickenham, these areas, it's nice to get to know your neighbours. And these are typically areas where we've seen on average people don't look to move until they've lived in the property for 12 years. So that is the going average for our postcode, for our borough, is that most people own their property for 12 years before moving. So you're going to be stuck next to that person potentially for the next 12 years. It's good to get to know them.
I think so. And then in the garden, obviously cut the grass.
Yeah, that's a given, yeah.
Maybe fix the fence, perhaps.
Especially with the weather we've had, people are always quite security conscious.
Yeah.
So fences, 100% fix. If they're old, if they're rotting away, that is one expense that I'd probably say invest in is a new fence. Depending on what type of fence you've got, I would always say to go for like some sort of panel, so it's easier just to lift out panels and repair panels rather than something fancy.
Yeah.
But fences do make a big difference because if that's going to be someone's next home, they want to feel secure.
Yeah.
They want to feel safe, especially if they've got kids. They want to know that the kids can play outside and it's safe for them. No low fences, nice high fence. If you want to add a bit of extra height to it, maybe some trellising. Put some trellising across the top. But other than that, the actual garden itself, keep it nice, keep it clean, keep it tidy. Don't go too crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're gonna start putting plants and things like that in, put them in pots because pots can be removed. So don't put anything in that's kind of permanent. The best kind of advice I would give is just nice lawn. If you want to put like something around the edge, or maybe you've got like a kind of uneven kind of shaped garden, nice square lawn, use some sleepers, relatively cheap and inexpensive, and then just bark. Just put all bark or shingle something round the edge to make it look nice, neat, clean, tidy, kept. But yeah, make sure those fences are repaired. I know we've had some really strong weather, some really strong winds. I know a lot of our boards got damaged. I can see driving around, a lot of fences got damaged, a lot of trees have come down. Just invest in a nice, good fence. Because that will make a massive, massive difference. And especially coming into the spring, summer season, now's the time where you want to be getting out your patio furniture.
Yeah.
Put the umbrella up. Get your barbecue out. This is a real time to show off what it's like to have the lifestyle of that kind of house in that garden.
So we could introduce the smells now, couldn't we? If they're coming round to smells of barbecue cooking.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Bread and coffee. Is that still a done thing? People still do the smells thing?
I have been asked this for many, many years. Is that a myth? Is it a myth that you should have some coffee brewing or breaking bread? I am no baker, so you're never going to catch me baking any bread in any house. I don't know what my bread would come out like. I wouldn't recommend eating it. But coffee, yes. I hate to say it, it's not a myth. It does make a massive difference. You only get one chance to make a first impression with that potential buyer.
Yeah.
And when there's, especially going into the spring, summer season where you're going to get more properties coming on the market, you need to make your home stand out amongst all the competition. Not only to get more activity and not get more people to the door, but you want to get as close to your asking price as physically possible. So make an amazing first impression. We always say plug in a little air freshener right by the front door. So the moment they walk in, they get hit with a really nice smell. Go for flowers, go for a smell of like fresh linen, something like that. Nothing too outrageous smell-wise, but go for something that's quite homely, like a smell that you would maybe encounter around your house after you've cleaned or something like that. And then as they wander through living rooms and kitchens, as they get to kitchens, just have a bit of coffee brewing, because it makes a massive difference. So they're going to walk out of that house thinking, "Oh, didn't it smell fresh when we walked in?" They must keep the place really well. It must be kept very clean.
Yeah.
And when they get into the kitchen, it's selling those kind of lifestyles, isn't it? It's like thinking, I can see myself making the coffee in the morning before I go to work. If you want to go one step further and have a bit of a barbecue in the garden, go for it. I'm more than happy to do the viewings if there is actual food on the go as well.
I did have a friend who used to sell his house, and he used to say to potential purchasers, take your shoes off when you come in the house, please. Because his thinking was, that puts across that I care for my house.
Absolutely. Your friend is very, very wise. That's a really good shout. We always offer to take our shoes off when we walk into someone's home. I know I wouldn't walk shoes into my own home, but it makes a massive difference as well. We have we had some new builds a couple of years back, and we've had little like the foot coverings, the shoe coverings.
Oh yeah.
I'm incredibly clumsy. I don't mind holding my hands up and saying that. There has been many times I have slipped down on my bum on stairs or tripped over things. Those, for me, were an absolute death trap for me because it felt like I was on ice. So I was pretty much slipping and sliding around a viewing when I last wore them. So now the golden rule is just kick your shoes off. Absolutely. I think that's a great tip. That's an absolute great tip, and especially if I'd never recommend putting down new carpets, but if you've gone as far as to clean the carpets, that's again relatively inexpensive thing to do is to clean rather than replace. Then have a bit of respect, for the people coming in and the agent. You should kick off your shoes, especially in this weather at the moment. You're going to be probably walking in with leaves and God knows what else on your shoes at the moment. I think the we had a funny situation a few years back, and he's such a lovely. There's a lovely family that owned this house in Muswell Hill. Really lovely family, and I hope I speak to them soon, have a catch up with them soon. But they bred dogs, and they bred Labradors, most beautiful dogs. And I remember my colleague and I were walking around it on the valuation, and we took our shoes off, but then we obviously put them back on to go around the grounds and everything like that. And my colleague obviously stepped in.
Oh no!
Yeah, and I remember the rest of the appointment being us killing ourselves laughing, and constantly having to remind him it's lucky. But again, he didn't realise he'd stepped in it until he came back into the house. So, and this is why I recommend to everyone just rather than lifting up your boot and checking what's actually underneath, just kick them off. Yeah. Just kick them off because you never know what's hiding under leaves.
And then pets. You mentioned dogs there, but is it worth getting dogs, cats taken away for the day during the viewings?
Well, what dog doesn't like a walk? It's an excuse to take the dog for a walk, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think small pets are fine. Small pets are fine. We've been in a few houses where there's hamsters, guinea pigs and things like that. Yeah. We don't mind them. You don't have to go and find a little leash for your guinea pig to take them for a walk. The guinea pigs are fine. I think with dogs, you're going to get some people that are obviously not comfortable around dogs, regardless of what their size is, if they're small or big dogs. I think what we've got to more worry about is, especially in this kind of weather where it's wet, how mucky do the dogs get? Are they going to, put paw prints all over the floor?
Yeah.
And the smell. I love dogs. I've grown up with dogs. I have dogs, but they do smell.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. So you just need to make sure that if you are presenting your house ready, wash the settee cushions if the dogs sneak onto the couches. If you put blankets down over the couches, take the blankets out. Just put them out of the house because it's very, very hard to get that smell of dog out of things. Febreze, just go around, spray everything with a bit of Febreze. And a really good tip actually as well is light a candle. So you get like the little oud candles, the ones that sound like flickering flames. They actually sound like a crackling fire. Light one of those on a coffee table for a viewing. So and then you especially in like a 1930s house, we've got like quite nice picturesque kind of fireplaces. We've got one at the moment. In the conservation area of Eastcote on St Lawrence Drive. It's got a really lovely kind of living room, nice wooden flooring, and a lovely fireplace. Put a little candle out, and then because they're going to see the fireplace and then they're going to get the noise of like a crackling fire, but then they're also getting a really nice smell. So it's when you advertise a property, think of how you advertise it to kind of all the senses so that they can really remember it.
Yeah. Some good tips. Let's have a quick look at a house that you've got on the website here. This is a one in
St Lawrence Drive. There you are.
And this has been obviously dressed, as you say.
So this is exactly what I mean. So that we know that the living room is one of the major rooms that people will look to and what will get people to inquire about the property. So it's staged. It is staged. What we're trying to do there is sell the lifestyle of what it is like to live in a property in the conservation area of Eastcote. And we were cautious and careful with what time of day we went down there. I think we actually postponed the photos once as well because the weather was just abysmal. But we wanted to get the light in the right side of the room to have that as our main photo. And if you look at what we've done to the place, we've taken down all the family photos. There's no family photos, but can you see there's nice pictures on the walls, TV, set back in the corner.
Yeah.
So all of this stuff was pretty much there at the property. All our photographer has done is he's moved things around and jiggled things around to make it look better, to better show off the property. And then the owners very kindly provided all the cutlery and everything for the table for us to stage it. But what a massive difference it makes. And because we've got it at the right time of day, nice bright blue skies, light pouring through the back. That's what it's like to sit in that living room. It's a really lovely living room.
I didn't realise it was a whole day's job photographing a house.
We have an absolute perfectionist of a photographer, and I wouldn't change Dan for the world. He is phenomenal at what he does. I mean, look, I can't fault Dan. He's so good. He's so good. And I suppose we're a little bit fortunate with our photographer because many years ago, Dan was actually an estate agent.
Ah, right.
So he gets it. And now he will spend all the time in the world what's needed. Because if he's not happy with them, he knows we're not going to be happy with them. And I don't think I've ever told Dan, in God knows how many years of knowing Dan, to ever go back and retake photos. He just sends through beautiful photos like that just shows off what it's going to be like to live in that house. Just sells the lifestyle.
Yeah. Right, the website, fuchiahomes.co.uk. Anything else you wanted to add about tips for selling, do you think?
We've posted a few stuff like this on the website, actually on the blog recently, because I really do want people to just keep costs down if you're thinking of selling. That's it. I think we did a blog not too long ago on gardens. We did one on kitchens and things like that. Just little minor things, like bathrooms, for instance. I know it's not one of the big 3 rooms or spaces that people look for, but people say to me, Steve, should I change the tiles? Should I change the panels, stuff like that? No, don't. Just give it the deepest of deep cleans. And if you've got like the grouting or the sealant is going like something different colours, or it's starting to get a little bit of the black mold on it, just scrub it. And if you can't scrub it, just go buy a thing of sealant. Just put new sealant around it, and a bit of brand new sealant makes a bathroom look brand spanking new. It's just things like that. Really, really small, very little costs for massive returns, and to get a much better reaction from the public when they're looking to buy. It makes a massive difference.
Is there a future TV series, do you think? You're going to present some daytime TV show about how to sell your house?
Only if you do it with me.
What should we call it?
I don't know. Well, we're both called Steve, so it needs to be like Steve's cheap hacks or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not so much DIY SOS, is it? Because we're not doing big builds. Honestly, you'll be shocked at how little you can spend to make a massive impact when selling someone's home. It's crazy. And especially like when you're staging it, we very rarely bring stuff in. The stuff is in people's homes. It just needs to be brought out and rearranged properly. I'm happy to do it. Our photographer Dan is definitely happy to rearrange your entire home when he's taking photos. He's not shy, but it does make a massive difference. So I'm happy to do it if you want to do it, Steve.
Yeah, maybe we'll get Dan involved as well. Might take a while.
You can help move furniture. We have been known to move people's couches, coffee tables, everything. There was one bungalow where me and Dan were literally lifting up the couch, moving it, and we emptied one half of the room and pulled all the furniture into the other one just to get that angle shot. Wow. And then we moved everything back into the other side to get the next angle shot. Yeah. So but you only get one chance to make a first impression when selling someone's home. So why would you not take the effort and make sure it's advertised correctly?
Good points there. There's the website, fuchiahomes.co.uk.
That's us.
And the team, part of the team.
Yep.
In Ruislip Manor. That's been excellent, Steve. Thanks for coming in today.
It's a pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
I'll sell my house now.
Well, next podcast next month from someone's house whilst we're staging it, maybe.
Oh, there's an idea. Yes.
We can do a live one if you want. You'll be jumping out the way while me and Dan are like moving everything around, but it'll be good fun. If anyone out there wants any advice on how to home stage or anything like that, then pop in, have a cup of tea with us. We're in the Manor, or pick up the phone. We're always happy to help, even if it is just to give advice. Even if you're maybe even not thinking of selling for the next 6 to 12 months, but you want to do little bits and pieces around the place. Yeah, happy to come out. It'll cost you a cup of tea. I like my tea. Nothing more than it costs you than a cup of tea. But I'll give you some really good points and advice, because I've saved a lot of people a lot of money over the years by saying, don't do things, do it this way. It brings your costs right the way down and just looks just as good.
Yeah. There you go. Thanks, Steve. We'll see you again shortly.
Yes. Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank
Bye
you.
for now.